Hey, it's me, Riker. Today we're going to have a look at the brand new Awakened hero, Brutus the Lion's Pride. Now he'll be part of the Mauler faction, and he'll wear strength-based gear, and he'll be part of the warrior class, and his primary role is to do continuous damage, group up enemies, and debuff them as well. So let's have a look at this hero's skills. His ultimate skill, Shattered Mountain. Brutus shocks the ground beneath his feet, dealing 350% damage to enemies within range, sending them flying towards himself. So this is his group up ability. After he swings his Mountain Breaker at nearby enemies, dealing damage equal to 15% of their max health, that sends them flying into the air again. Damage cannot exceed 650% of Brutus' attack rating. Brutus' defense is additionally increased by 25% for 7 seconds for every enemy struck. This skill ignores dodge, and Brutus is immune to control effects when active. So for a duration of 7 seconds, he'll have his defense increased, similar to Queen's abilities, as well as he'll be immune to any control ability for that duration. His level 2 upgrade, his defense is increased by 30% for an increased duration of 9 seconds. All enemies within range of the ultimate have the majority of their buffs removed. So if the enemy is using any immunity, shields, or any buffs that they may have, this will remove it. So if the Awakened Brutus is fighting a normal non-Awakened Brutus, the Awakened Brutus will remove his shield and will be able to continually deal damage to the enemy. So let's have a look at his next skill. Rank Breaker. Brutus strikes enemies in front of him multiple times and knocks them back, with each strike dealing 250% attack damage to them. Every 1 defense Brutus has over the enemy he hits increase the damage by 3%, up to 500%. So this will be extremely beneficial if he's engraved, ascended, and he has all the necessary buffs in order to get this damage buff. His next upgrade, each time Brutus suffers damage totaling 15% of his max health, he receives a mountain shield with a value equal to 12.5% of his max health. And it lasts for 6 seconds. And this can be triggered at most once every 4 seconds. If Brutus' Mountain Shield is destroyed while still active, he receives 30% damage reduction for 7 seconds. This effect cannot be stacked. So this shield in combination with this damage reduction can make him extremely tanky in the front row. He's level 4. If Brutus' Mountain Shield is not destroyed while still active, he permanently receives 5% additional defense. So this stacks with his primary attack. Each time Brutus receives Mountain Shield, nearby allies will receive Inspire, which removes the majority of debuffs affecting them and increases their defense by 25% of Brutus' current defense for 6 seconds. This effect cannot be stacked. His next ability, Fury Blow. Brutus sends enemies within a certain range flying, dealing damage to them for 350% and stunning them for 2 seconds. This skill will be triggered at the start of battles. So, as he's an extremely powerful front row hero, he'll be able to easily invade, interrupt them, and be able to start dealing damage while his teammates can start controlling or dealing damage to the enemies as well. The distance the enemies are sent flying is increased by 250% of the original position. Lands a critical hit on immovable enemies. So this is like something like totems. If an enemy is sent flying to the edge of the battlefield, they are additionally dealt 500% attack rating damage, and the stun is increased all the way to 6 seconds. From 2 all the way to 6. This is nearly a 200% increase on the control duration. His next ability, Unyielding Spirit. Brutus is immune to the first fatal damage he suffers, and he receives a shield with a value equal to 45% of his max health, which exists for 7 seconds. Brutus is invulnerable for 2 seconds when the shield expires. Any remaining value the shield has when its duration ends is converted into health for Brutus. When the shield produced by an unyielding spirit exists, Brutus's damage is increased by 20%, and struck enemies lose 25% or points of haste for 6 seconds. This effect cannot be stacked, and the level 3 upgrade, time yielding unyielding spirit, can be triggered, is increased to 2 times. So this essentially allows him to cheat death twice during the entire fight. So let's have a look at how he does in battle. So as we can see, he's extremely powerful when placed on the front row, as he can essentially invade enemies, start stunning them, and controlling your opponents for you. So let's have a look at how he does. So as we can see, he immediately starts dashing into the enemies and striking them down. Where you can see he's swinging his mountain breaker, that is his sword. So there we go, we can see the little swirl that he does. And so let's have a look at his ultimate. So he leaps up into the air and he groups up enemies. So if he's fighting the enemies, they're extremely close range to him and they're not far away, he essentially will be able to, as you can be seen, pull them together and stun them for a couple of seconds. So let's have a look at how he does in some of these battles in the Arena of Trials. So one thing that you can see from here, I've only placed 2 heroes. However, these are the only heroes that he will need in order to be able to defeat the enemies. However, this is of a similar deficit compared to him. So if he's within a relatively low deficit, the Awakened Brutus will do extremely well. If you're looking for an additional carry in the Mauler tower, he will do extremely well when paired up with any support-based heroes. In addition, if you pair him up with heroes such as Kren, he'll easily be able to knock the enemies back into Kren's bombs in order to be able to stun them. So this is one battle where he does extremely well. So this is another team that we can have a look at. So now I've placed him exactly in front of Brutus. So as we can see, both Zafrael has a shield. However, when the Awakened Brutus uses ult, he removes all buffs from the enemies. As we can see, the enemy has their buffs. Now these buffs will be removed. So there we go. Brutus has his immunity. Awakened Brutus removes this immunity and is easily able to defeat the normal version of Brutus. As we can see, Tassi put everyone to sleep. However, because Awakened Brutus has his shield, he was able to immune this specific control effect. There we go. He did extremely well when paired up with literally any hero that you could possibly think of. So as we can see, he did the most amount of damage. He did a significant amount of healing and tanking as well. So let's have a look at him at a slightly higher deficit. So this is a slightly lower deficit, only about a 140 deficit, as my allies are only 360 and their enemies are 505. So from here we can see that he did a significant amount of damage when placed even with a extremely powerful damage dealer such as Irons. So as we can see, he immediately rushes forward to interrupt the enemy. So you can see that he pushed the enemies back and he immediately stunned them. Now he's going to get his group up ability where he stuns the enemy and sends them flying into the air. Now we can see that Irons is dead, so our main damage dealer is now not longer available. However, Brutus will easily be able to carry us to victory. There we go. He's removing the enemy's buffs and we managed to claim an easy victory. This hero will do extremely well in any burst or control based team. So which teams might this be? This might be either a Raku or Kren based team, where Awakened Brutus' primary role will be essentially to group up and stun the enemies, while the 2 backline heroes, any Kren or Raku, can reach their full potential and deal the maximum amount of damage to the enemies. Because of his buff removal from the enemies, especially a normal version Brutus with his shield, the Awakened Brutus will essentially remove all of these buffs and allow your allies to easily be able to handle any team in the game. Now, because at higher deficits, he'll most likely struggle to deal the damage that he can optimally do. his control aspect will be highly beneficial. So if you would like to build your first Awakened hero, he might be an excellent option to round out your roster and conquer the end game.